Welcome to the Basic Business Practices for Music Therapists tutorial as part of Music Therapy Online. I'm so glad that you are here. First of all, please let me introduce myself. My name is Natalie Jacks. I'm a registered music therapist from Melbourne, Australia, and I'm originally from Queensland. My area of expertise in the clinical realm is actually mental health, and I worked for 10 years in the mental health and forensics clinical area. So what that means is I worked with offenders who had committed some pretty serious crimes, who also had mental illness, and so I spent a lot of time in high secure forensic environment, and as a consequence I really enjoyed learning more about mental health and forensics, and I decided in mid 2000s to get a master's in mental health and forensics, and so that was something that I really enjoyed, and I look forward to being able to work in that clinical area again. Other areas of mine that I'm really passionate about, and as you'll hear today in this tutorial, are business practices and setting up a small business for music therapists, which is my next adventure and phase in my career. Also, my big areas of interest are supervision and mentoring and ethics in music therapy. So that's in a nutshell my very brief bio. Today, as I said, we're going to be talking about, and you are looking forward to hopefully learning about some basic business practices as a music therapist, either setting up or growing your private practice and your business. This is something I'm really passionate about, as I said earlier, I'm entering this phase in my career where I'm building my business, and I'm trying to get clients, and this is something that I've learned a lot about in the last few years, and I'm really excited to be able to share it with you today. It's so important for us because we really don't get a lot of chance to learn in our courses about business practices, because really the focus of learning to be a music therapist is on the clinical skills and the musical skills of being a fantastic therapist, and those business skills are something we can often develop afterwards or go on and study, as I did. I went off and did a diploma of business early on in my career as well. So it's really important to not only have those therapeutic skills and musical skills, but business skills. If you're going to be a business owner, you've got to jump right in there. So I'm really hoping this is going to be helpful for you today. The next thing that we should probably consider is a formula for working out, now, what do I really have to charge, and rather than just pulling out a number that from nowhere, out of thin air. So we're going to have some slides here, so keep listening and watch these slides, and hopefully this is a nice clear example of one formula that you can use. Now, there are formulas on the internet. You can plug in your details, and it'll come out with, these are your expenses, this is what you should charge per hour, and one of those as an example is in your workbook, so there's a link there for you to follow. Those rate calculators are not specific to music therapy, so there'll be some variations. So just use all of these things as a guide. As I said, everybody's going to be different. So the formula here is, the first thing we need to do is add up a whole bunch of expenses and needs, and then we're going to divide it by how much we want to work. So the first thing we want to know is, how much money do you want to earn in your pocket every year? And that might be $50,000 because you're working full-time, or it might be $80,000 because you're working full-time and you have a mortgage, or you might only be working part-time. So you say, look, I want to earn an extra $20,000 to supplement my other part-time job. So figure out that figure. What is it that you need to earn every year in your pocket after you've paid everything? Next, you need to add on what we call on-costs. And on-costs are things like your holiday pay, sick pay, all those types of little incidentals that employers will add on to your fee, your wage per year, to know how much they have to pay extra. So we usually, and again, these are all estimates, 15% on top of that for the on-costs. Then you need to add another approximately 15% for taxes. Then we've got to add on superannuation, and you want to add on about 10% for superannuation. So these are all your expenses that you've got to add on before you even start paying for anything else. So you've got your amount that you want to earn. Let's use the example of $50,000. Then you add on your on-costs, you add on your tax, your superannuation, and now we need to add on your expenses. Now, there's a long list of expenses that may or may not be incurred by you and your business. This is just an example. So, rent. Do you rent a premise, or do you rent rooms per hour? How much is your rent per year? Car insurance for getting to and from sessions, that's part of your expenses. Your other car expenses like your petrol and your servicing of your car, your maintenance, things like that. Insurance, all kinds of insurance. Insurance for your equipment that you use, your life insurance and income protection insurance. That's something that some business owners forget completely. If something happens to them catastrophic, who's going to pay their mortgage? And if you have income insurance, then you've got some protection there. Also, obviously, if you're a business owner, you're going to have liability insurance, and usually $10 million coverage is the norm for our kind of industry. If you go and rent a community hall, they will usually say to rent our space, you're going to need to show us that you have a minimum of $10 million public liability insurance. So you need to factor those and all those insurance types in to your budget. Any type of travel costs. Do you travel for business? Do you travel to provide seminars? Do you travel for conferences? Those types of things. So any kind of travel costs that you have. Professional development expenses. So what conferences do you attend? What courses do you do? What workshops? This online tutorial that you've paid for, this is an expense for your business if you're a business owner. So all of those costs for your own professional development. If you have supervision, the costs for that as well. How much is that going to take every year? Consumables for your business. Do you write letters? Do you have a coffee machine in your office that you provide to your clients? All those expenses, little bits and pieces of consumables, postage, pencils, all those types of things. Technology. Do you have a computer you use for business? Do you upgrade that every year? All of those costs need to be factored in. And then advertising. Do you pay for Facebook advertising? Do you pay for Google clicks and AdWords and things like that? So make yourself a list of all those expenses you have every year and add that onto what you've already got, which is what you want to earn in your pocket, plus your on costs, tax, and superannuation. So just to make the calculations easy, what we're going to say is that our total expenses, including all of those things, what we want to earn, our on costs, superannuation, taxes, all of those things, all of the expenses comes to $100,000 a year. So you get your $50,000 in your pocket, and then another $50,000 of that is for all your other expenses, just as an example. So there we go. We know now we need to earn per year $100,000 to get $50,000 in our pocket. Next we need to do is decide how many weeks a year we want to work. Now, just again, for the sake of making it easy, have a look at the slide, and I'm going to say in this example that I want to work 50 weeks a year. Now, I don't encourage this. This is just to make the numbers simple. I don't want to work that often because I have kids. I want to work 40 weeks a year. So for me, the number is a lot less. So that's just how you'll work it out for your own business. So in this example, we're going to say we're working 50 weeks a year. So that means we need to earn $2,000 a week to get our $100,000. Makes it simple. So in order to earn $2,000 a week, then we have to decide how many days do we want to work per week. And I'm going to say 4 days a week again to keep it simple and to give myself a day off at the end of the week. So let's say $2,000 divided by 4 days per week. That means we need to earn $500 each day that we're working to earn that $100,000, to earn that $100,000 per year. So to earn $500 a day for 4 days a week, how many hours a day do I want to work or can I work to earn that $500? So let's say you think you can work 4 hours a day. And now this is client contact hours only. This is not your note writing or any of that kind of stuff. This is what you're charging for, that client contact. So you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to work 4 hours of clinical time per day of client work, and I'm going to work 4 days per week. So that's $500 divided by 4 hours, and that gives you a rate of $125 an hour. So the summary of that, and I hope that was easy to follow for everyone, $125 an hour, you're going to aim to work for 4 hours of clinical time per day, 4 days a week, and with the calculations we've worked out today, that will earn you $100,000 in the year, and $50,000 of that you'll be able to put in your pocket to take home. So that's one example of how to use a formula to figure out your hourly rate.